wheels off. Need to get the brake caliper off and the brackets. I'm just going to take the entire bracket off with the caliper and the pads all in it. Then I can take the rotor off. Obviously behind there is the hub. You can sort of see the bolt heads there that I've got to take off. Made a pro gamer move. When I took the bracket bolts out, the caliper stayed on the rotor and it's all just in one piece. So putting that back's going to be easy. I'll just slide over the top and you can see this housing, the bolts are a little bit rusted. They are actually Torx bolts. I thought they were just normal 6-point headed bolts, but they're not. They're actually Torx. You can sort of see there. Easy to get off still because I do have a Torx socket, and you got to use the hole there that's conveniently provided. Line it up at the head. You can take it off if it works. Yeah, and the old one, the new one, sorry, just bolts on. Look at all that crud. You can tell that's why. You can hear it as well. Shouldn't make that noise. Probably because I handbrake turned it into a curb in the snow, but we'll ignore that. Still turns okay, but it's the wobble you hear when you go at 70 mile an hour. So I just got to put the new one on, which is fresh. As always, giving the part a quick clean up before I try and remove it, because using spraying WD-40 and scrubbing it loosens the dirt and rust. It starts to peel it away and you start to see the actual shape of the part there. You definitely see it's a Torx head, and you aren't going to accidentally put the wrong socket on it. But it also means that when I spray more WD-40 on it, it doesn't have to go through that surface layer of rust, because I've already got rid of it. Surface layer of rust and grease, and potentially water even, because it is rust. You're going to get rid of that so it can get through the other layers. And I'm just going to clean the entire bit, even around the edge there, because this piece is going to be on another metal part. Over time it just likes to weld itself together, because metal likes metal. Right, I'll clean this up. Quick note while I'm taking these bolts out, you can see the socket goes in there. I've got a long extension on this. I don't really need the long extension. I can't show you with the phone in my hand, but when you pull on the end, it tends to want to make the socket drift rather than putting the torque on the bolt, because you've got that long extension. It starts to twist it, which is how drive shafts under rear wheel drive cars pop out, because it's such a long drive shaft. The torque gets translated elsewhere other than the bolt. So I've got this shorter piece that when it goes through, it's long enough. So the shorter the better, really. Right, just had a not really a job getting it off. Don't know if that's meant to be bent. It does look a bit bent in compared to that straight one, but besides the point. To get it, it's a little bit seized around the edge here where it slots in, and to get it out I had to put the wheel nuts on, because I'd already unbolted it. I think it was probably around here. You can see there's a dark line. I think that was a seal of rust that was stopping it coming off. So I just put the wheel nuts on, only 3 of them, got under the car and just kicked the edge of the tyre and rim. Probably there where you can see it's like the old crappy paint jobs coming off. Where you can see that mark, probably where I kicked it from the underside, and yeah, it came straight off. Easy, don't have to sit there with a hammer for ages. Does mean getting under the car. If it's not jacked up properly, obviously you could mess yourself up. But oh, now we've got a truck coming through. This could be hilarious. Oh, he made it. Right, now Amazon man's decided to reverse into him. A mirror check, nice one. Yeah, this tyre's worn on the inside much more than it is the outside. I think that is to do with the wheel bearing. Because you don't, well, as far as I'm aware, you can't align the suspension on the rear here. It's just if it's damaged, you replace it because it's out of alignment. But yeah, it's definitely more smooth on that inside. And you can see how deep that groove is going. From the edge, it just looks very sharp. That side's extremely round. There, you've got a sharp edge on it. So, yeah, wheel bearing definitely needed doing. So it doesn't say to. Well, it doesn't come with instructions at all, actually. But I've added grease on the inside of the knuckle here after cleaning it up, and on some of the flat faces, but not around the threads, obviously, because grease on the threads can make them slip out. The new bolts come with Loctite already on them, which is pretty good, but keeping the threads dry, but trying to stop water from getting between the knuckle and the piece. So I used high temperature bearing grease. So I looked up torque specs, and it's 65 Newton meters for the bolts, so I'm going to use my new little torque wrench because my other torque wrenches don't go really low enough. They go low enough for 65, but for like 15 foot-pounds, or sorry, 15 Newton meters, it's just, yeah, the others don't do it. This doesn't actually go up to 65, it goes up to 60, so I'm just going to do 60 and a little bit more, but that's also better than just not using the torque wrench at all. So, you know, I've still got to do it a little bit half-assed. And then finishing it up, treating, apparently, well, it does make sense, any surface area of the new metal with copper grease, because it's going to rust slower, obviously. And refitting everything. If you've got anything other than an MG, make sure your ABS sensor's connected, because your ABS and traction control won't work otherwise. Next step is pretending you didn't miss a bit and have to retorque everything again. Right, so all done up, all fitted securely. Now you just put the wheel back on, drop it, done. Right, and then when you're tightening everything up, pretend that you remember to put the ABS thing back in, because otherwise it won't work, will it? Honestly, that engine doesn't sound good either, but I'm going to ignore that. Oh, I think that's an ABS sensor in. Let's see if the ABS light's gone. It's on there for now, but we'll ignore that. Don't need traction control anyway.